Hey everybody, welcome to the Ladybug Girl Show. Today I was going to talk about my farm goals. I actually have a ton of goals. I live on our family farm that I've actually lived on since I was 5 years old, except for I moved to Seattle for like a dozen years after I graduated from high school. Moved back here 3 years ago, and yeah, basically lived here the majority of my life. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. The barn is kind of in a state of repair. Like, it's really old. We had some goats a while back and they were hard on the siding, and I don't know, I just thought this video I could kind of devote to kind of listing my goals, because I think winter is a good time to like set goals and kind of dream about gardening and come up with ideas for the future. So this is what this video is going to be all about. So as far as my barn goals, for the barn itself, it needs to be painted. My idea for that is to like have a party and feed everybody and have like groups of people paint each side. Whether or not that will actually happen is another story. I might just end up doing it all myself. But before you paint it, there needs to be repair work done. There's quite a bit of siding that needs to be replaced, and it needs to be power washed. So those are on my list too. There's also one door of the barn that needs to be replaced altogether. So if we could replace the door, replace some siding, power wash, paint, we would be like doing very, very well. So that's pretty much my big goals. In addition, in the past, we've had a tree fall in the barn, so we have some leaks in our aluminum roof. So if I could go up there and repair some leaks in the roof, that would be a great thing to get accomplished this year as well. So those are my main barn goals, and then I'll move on to gardening goals. As some of you might have already known, like, we had 2 trees fall in my garden, and the neighbor was kind enough to cut them all up, and I'm using it as kind of like a border for this blueberry garden that I have right here. I thought it'd be kind of fun for the girls to like be able to like jump from log to log. And in the summer I was thinking it'd be a fun project to like sand it down and paint it, you know, fun colors, or at least get it so it's a little more waterproof and will last. My garden goals are numerous. I'm in the process of taking my inner fence down. You can see that post right there. I used to have a smaller garden and we extended it out 10 feet. The garden's surrounded by 10 extra feet because we planted an orchard out here, and it turns out the horse, you know, likes to eat the garden, so we needed a border to protect the fruit trees and everything that grow. But it allows for a lot more space, and I could plant like squash and pumpkins along the edge of the garden. So I'm super excited about that. I'm actually kind of thinking about the idea of using straw bales, and it would provide, you know, compost for years to come. So it's kind of an idea I've been toying around with. My other ideas, I have some trees that have not been cut up, like there's that log right there, and that could be part of a raised bed. So I'm thinking about using kind of what I have to create what I need in the garden. And I have a pile of brush right there that needs to be burned up. Just all sorts of projects. My goal is to take the garden to the next level, and by that I mean on a sustainability aspect. Like, I'm trying to create a self-sustainable system, and it's quite an undertaking. Like, I started this goal 3 years ago. I've worked really hard. I have had little children, you know, like, to take care of, and my grandma, I was taking care of her till her very last day. So I've been really busy during these years that I've been like trying to create this self-sustainable system. So I haven't been able to devote, you know, as much time as I want, but I think this year I can kind of take it up to the next level. Initially this was like just land, you know, like a horse pasture. So I planted 20 fruit trees 3 years ago, and basically have added to it ever since. Like, right behind me is the blueberries, and then I've planted like all sorts of kind of like weird berries and just as much as I possibly can get my hands on. I plant, and I have like irises, and the bees love the irises. I was really excited about the bees and the irises, so I made a video all about that you could watch if you want. I think it's like bees like yellow irises. I'll put a link below. But yeah, it's just beautiful, beautiful irises, and I like sharing them, so I think it's a great place to propagate them. But see, they're kind of like in that section right there, kind of like a 4x4 foot area, and I'm debating like transplanting them and growing them like along the fence along the back. And I need more ideas. I'm part of a gardening group called Debbie's Back Porch on Facebook, and I posted on there asking for ideas, and somebody said I should pretty much just like plant herbs and flowers, because it would bring in pollinators like bees for pollinating the fruit trees and stuff like that. So I thought that was a good suggestion. But if you have any ideas what I should do with that outside border, I would greatly appreciate it. Of course, the hog fence is there, but we can't have anything that grows too tall because the horse will reach over and eat it. I'm kind of getting excited about spring. I got the ducks right there. They're checking things out. As far as the garden, though, I'm just excited about starting seeds, propagating what I have, just kind of like making the most of it. And yeah, just seeing how my fruit trees grow. When the 2 trees fell, a couple of my fruit trees got damaged, and see, like that one, the neighbor accidentally cut off, but I'm thinking it's still gonna grow. But we'll see. And then a few other of the fruit trees just got hit by the tree and died completely. And then I have this beautiful rose that's, well, this is the grape, but there's a rose, a heritage rose, and it got really hurt. And I'm kind of sad because it was a rose that I planted the day a dear friend of mine, his little brother, passed on, and I planted it in his memory. And it's a heritage white climbing rose, and it was getting so gorgeous, and I had this beautiful archway, and it was growing up the side, and so I need a new archway. That's another goal of mine. So if I ever see a good sale or look on Craigslist and someone's getting rid of an archway, I'd actually like 2, but that's kind of not necessary, so it's kind of a future goal of mine, because my idea with gardening is creating a self-sustainable system, but using what I have. So I don't want to go out and like spend money, even though some things I do, like the fence, cost money, but it's necessary to keep the horse out. So there's a fine line between using what you have and having to buy stuff. So that's kind of, I'm sorry if this video is all rambling, but I just have a lot on my plate. So I guess my other goals are growing like potatoes. I use the barrels. Right now I have a fruit tree in it because that fruit tree got knocked over, so I need to find a new place to plant that. And yeah, I love growing as much as I can. I come from generation after generation after generation of farmers, and I'm really proud of my heritage. And yeah, so I just want to continue that part of my heritage and make sure my kids know how to grow food. And I love heirloom seeds. Another goal of mine is to clean out the woodshed. So this is kind of like outdoor seeds type of goals, but clean out the woodshed because I have a pile of, kids' toys and tables and just all sorts of, the wood chopper and just all sorts of things. I need to clear it all out and just have space. I want to fill it up with wood this year because, we have the down trees. Some of the trees I'm using for a border in my garden, but I want to actually fill up the woodshed. So we're kind of prepared if it snows and we don't have electricity, we still have a source of heat. Because, yeah, that's part of being sustainable, is having a heat source no matter what. And I guess the other goals I have is having one location for all the tools. And by that, I mean probably like a stall in the barn that needs to be kind of gutted because it's, got who knows what in it. But I'll just kind of revamp it and have it just be like my tools and have like a kind of a place for everything. That's the goal. And then I want to put all my pots in that space too, because I have tons of pots, because when we lived in Seattle, I grew just about everything I possibly could. Like, if you went to visit us in our apartment, you would know you were at Hilda's apartment because it was green. Like, I've always had to grow plants. It's been kind of my passion. I'm very passionate about growing plants, and yeah, so you would know where I lived because the whole front of the apartment was filled with plants, and yeah, we still have some of those videos from the early days, and I think that's why it's so exciting to move back here, because I actually have a place to grow food and garden and, you know, kind of live out my dream of living on a farm. So I'm doing that, and I don't know, this is kind of like a way for me to talk about my goals and take the next leap, which is for spring to come and kind of like get things accomplished. You know, Emily's going to school during the day, and I can get a lot done while she's at school, and Zoe loves gardening too, so it's something that I can do with her. I have a little book, and I like to write down projects and ideas, and yeah, so some of those things, yeah, empty shed, split wood. Oh, another awesome idea is gutters on the barn. If we could get gutters on the barn, that would reduce the mud, because that whole side is without gutters. So the water's just splashing straight down, and it could go in rain barrels. I would like to get food grade rain barrels set up against probably the back side of the barn, and then I could use that water for the garden in the summer, or to water the horses, or to water the chickens. That's a big goal of mine. Hopefully I can get a 250-gallon drum to make that goal a possibility. Oh, the other goal I have is to fence in the chickens. Right now, we have free range chickens and ducks and turkeys. So that means I will be at the house, and all of a sudden there's like a turkey staring, you know, through my window while I'm in the kitchen. And I would just like to fence them up, mainly so they can be secure. We haven't had any animals killed by coyotes since we fenced in. The whole back of the pasture is fenced in. We did that last summer. It's fenced to that corner over there, and it kind of wraps around the back. So, but my goal is to fence in the chickens, kind of, there's the 3-bin compost, but kind of like fence off that whole area. So that's kind of a goal of mine. It still give them like outdoor area, free range, but then they're not like going to be at the house on the deck, because they make messes, and it's just a lot, you know. And we have 3 roosters, and I don't know if any of you have experience with roosters, but I have one really mean rooster, and I'd hate for someone to get hurt. So I think it is time to kind of put some clamps on these animals and give them a finite space. So yeah, if I can fence in the chickens, that would be an awesome goal. The other goal of mine is to use the wood chips from the county that we got for free as a walkway. And we did do a pile there and a pile there. So the back of the barn has kind of like a patio, but that way it's not like a foot down. There's actually wood chips there. But I want to extend the wood chips all the way through here. So that's kind of my last goal. Just so we have a nice walkway. You know, if city people come over, they don't like to get their shoes all wet. So yeah, that's another goal of mine. It's starting to get dark. The sun's going down. Sorry about the blur. I should have came out earlier, but I have these rusted out horse troughs that I grow a lot of herbs and food in. So it's worked out really well for me, and it's just fun to grow as much as possible. Yeah, it's getting dark and the chickens have gone home for the night. So I think it's time for me to go home as well. I'm going to say thanks for watching this episode of the Ladybug Girl Show. Stay tuned for more. I'll just kind of do update videos throughout the year showing what I have accomplished from this set of goals that I've lined out in this video. So hopefully I can accomplish a lot in 2015. Stay tuned for more. Bye!